Gaming Bolt presents 10 types of raiders encountered in MMOs. When playing a massively multiplayer online game, be it a shooter or an RPG, you often hear fans of the genre talking about the endgame content. The discussion eventually turns to raids, which refers to a multi-segmented dungeon with intricate mechanics that rely on cooperation and communication between teammates, high-level gear, and oodles of patience. Raids can often be epic experiences that offer something you don't usually witness in the rest of the game. As such, there are numerous kinds of raiders regardless of which game you play. We decided to distill the 10 kinds of raiders you'll often encounter in an MMO and what makes them so cool or annoying. Who knows, one or several of them could describe you. The Leader. This may not necessarily be the best player, but when it comes to leading a raid, he's got everyone covered. The leader often knows the mechanics of an instance like the back of his hand, and is great at explaining it to everyone in the group. Leaders often double up as shepherds for those attempting their first raid and are a great source of information regarding builds, weapons, tactics, and whatnot. Even after numerous wipes and frustrations, the leader doesn't falter and will help see you through to those awesome loot drops, come what may. Let's not forget the callouts he'll subconsciously make, even if his teammates already know what to do, just to ensure everyone is on the same page. The Newbie. Newbies don't always have to be new players who just picked up the game during Christmas. They could also be players who have never done a raid before. Yes, such people exist, even in games like Destiny, where the raid content is often the best content. But anyway, the newbie may not always be on point with everything, but he tries his hardest, is constantly improving, and will tag along whenever you need help. The best part is he'll be incredibly grateful for your help regardless of how good or bad the raid drops are, and will always be up for helping you in the future. The newbie has many paths that he can eventually travel down the longer he spends with the game. The Carry. Need someone to solo Crota when everyone's dead, need to push through an encounter with the highest possible damage, need someone who can execute a particular phase flawlessly. The Carry is your answer, and he does not screw around. Like the leader, he has an in-depth understanding of a raid's mechanics. However, he can also possess a high degree of mechanical skill, outputting the highest amount of damage or healing when the situation calls for it. Even with an unoptimized build, you can rely on the Carry's excellent game sense and skill to get you out of trouble most of the time. Unlike the leader though, the Carry prefers to follow most times, and that's perfectly fine when he possesses the skills that he does. The Overly Political. Why isn't X as good as Y? How could you like a certain game over this game? It's not like this particular raider is a bad person, but for some reason, they always want to have conflicts in the guise of discussions. Also, they always want to be right, regardless of what your view is. At times, it's hard to discourage them because, well, you don't want to be the censoring kind of guy, but sometimes you just want to sit down, raid, and get some dank loot. The Elitist. On the other side of the leader carry coin is the Elitist. While sometimes possessing a decent amount of skill, the Elitist is categorized by his strict requirements and often condescending attitude to someone who doesn't fulfill them. Anyone who's had to deal with the requirements for a 365 Gjallarhorn in a Year 1 Destiny, or a Tactician's Authority build in the Division, will know what we mean. It also doesn't help that the Elitist will brag about his achievements and skill to anyone who will listen, even if they're not nearly as good as the newbie who can follow orders to a T. The Far Too Chill. There's something a little off about this guy. He'll be fairly relaxed about everything, taking it all in his stride, but that's not because he's a leader or a carry. Sure, he knows what to do, but can have moments where he's off, whether due to incoherence or something else. Then again, when he makes things work, he makes them work, and never rages at others or has anything against newbies. He's really just there to have a good time more than anything else. When you want to go raiding and just have a chilled out time with everyone who knows what to do, it's not a bad idea to take him along. Then again, if you're attempting World's First or a super serious run, then it may be a good idea to ping him another time because he's not gonna be all there. The Rager. Did your squad die again? What the hell is wrong with you all? Sure, you may have only died for the second time and it's everyone's first time doing this particular instance, but the Rager doesn't care. Oftentimes, this guy will get angry at everyone for some small failure. Unlike the Elitist, the Rager may be fairly accommodating at first. It's when the raid gets going that he reveals his utter lack of patience. Another kind of Rager is someone who will hate the mechanics of a fight, the game, the developer, pretty much everyone even remotely associated with the game when things don't go his way. Prepare for profanity because there will be lots of it. Alternatively, you can expect the Rager to evolve into the Rage Quitter and outright leave a game rather than continue to work through its various issues with teammates. Them's the breaks. The Squeaker. Squeaker is often used as a derogatory term to refer to children with high-pitched voices. That being said, it's often better to judge a person by their attitude rather than by their voice. Some squeakers are highly cooperative and will often get things done without much fuss. Others will whine, complain, and just generally be irritating like so many other grown-up toxic players. Then there are those who will keep asking you questions because, well, they look up to you or something. The point is that there are decent squeakers out there and they can be great assets. There are also annoying squeakers who aren't afraid to shriek and wail until they get their way, so LFG at your own risk. The Cheeser. Cheesers can be a variety of things. They can be the raid leader that doesn't have much time and would much rather cheese an encounter if the entire group is fine with it. They can be those who simply don't know the correct way to complete a particular portion of the raid thanks to being part of cheese groups. They can also just be annoying, lazy buggers who don't want to do anything legit because forget having fun and all that. Regardless, they all have the same thing in common. If there's an easy, exploitable way to do it, why not just cheese it? Obviously, there's a gray line when it comes to exploits and raids, so decide for yourself how legit you want your instance to be, or just don't bring this guy along, and keep him on standby in case things don't go your way. The YouTuber. The YouTuber is perhaps the most diverse kind of raider around. They'll often attempt different instances, but with special twists and challenges thrown in to entice viewers. Sometimes they'll just post guides and full walkthroughs of raids to show people how they're done. Plenty of well-known YouTubers like the legend himself will go out of their way to solo entire portions of raids just to show players that it can be done. Then there is the odd, yo, what's up, it's your boy kind of YouTuber because they persist in just about every single YouTube medium. But aside from being oddly enticing to generally endearing, YouTubers and raids are just like the rest of us. Well, aside from an unhealthy desire to achieve world's first completion sometimes. That'll be it for this video. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.